Hello, class. Good morning or good afternoon. Welcome back to another session of Spanish. But right now, this class is for foreigners who are living here in Mexico. So, welcome back. Bienvenidos nuevamente a esta clase. Welcome back to this class. Thank you so much for being here. Well, today we're going to start teaching you from words to sounds in real Spanish, from words to sounds. So, for example, in Spanish, pronunciation is really important and necessary. And for example, throughout the years, throughout the time, many Spanish words have evolved and formed new words with new sounds. And for example, right here we have some borrowings, some roots and derivations influenced by certain roots. For example, in this case, as you can see right here on this slide right now, right there on your screen, on your computers, we have two pictures down below. So please observe them, look at them. What do we have right here on the left? This is something round, it's red, yeah. In Spanish, we call it tomate, right? That's a tomate. And on the right, we have something that we drink uh, too much here in Mexico, especially when it is the weather it's very cold or it's rainy. So then people here in Mexico, we drink uh, chocolate, that in Spanish is chocolate. So both of these words, the words that you see right now, the tomate and chocolate, they come from Nahuatl. Nahuatl is an indigenous language, and especially where I am based right now, here in La Huasteca Hidalguense, I live in Huejutla Reyes Hidalgo. People in this region, people speak Nahuatl. So these two words come from the Nahuatl, and it's very useful all over the world. All right, so that's why we consider that learning Spanish is really fundamental nowadays. And also, there are some other words that come from the Nahuatl, not only chocolate as in the previous example. So right here in this slide, we have some other borrowings from the Nahuatl that right now are part of the Mexican lexicology. For example, we have the aguacate, as you can see right here in this slide in the center, aguacate. And then next to it, we have Chile, right? So in Spanish, it's Chile. In English, it's chili, right? So avocado, chili. These words are very useful in Spanish, but all of them come from the Nahuatl. And then we have right here this object that in Spanish it's called papalote. This is something that children use when it's so windy and they fly into the sky. Mhm. And right here in Spanish, we have this word that we use it very often when you have a friend or you have a person that you are so related to each other. In Spanish, it's this word is cuate, right? That in English it could be like a buddy, a friend, or a person who's close to you. All right. And then we have the last word that we use it in Spanish quite often, in the very Mexican cuisine, and we use it almost every day, as an entrance when we start eating, and it's called in Spanish totopo, right? So all of these words that you're observing right here in this slide, they come from the Nahuatl, all right? So right now it's part of the Spanish we speak here in Mexico. And well, hopefully right now you are going to be repeating these words with me, okay? So I say the word and then you repeat it at home when you're watching this video, okay? So we're going to start with the very first one. Aguacate. Yeah, that's how you say it. One more time. Aguacate. That's correct. Chile. Yeah. Chile. Papalote. You say it? Okay. Papalote. All right. Cuate. That's correct. Cuate. And the last one. Totopo. Go ahead. Totopo. All right. So let's continue. In the Spanish, we have many words that have been borrowed and right now adapted in our daily basis. So we have some of the previous examples, all right? And right here, I wanted you to observe the way in which they are written. On the left, we have the original form in Nahuatl, you know, and on the right, of course, that's the Spanish we know, or the Spanish we are learning right now, that all of you are learning right here in Mexico. So in Nahuatl, it's tomat, or right now in Spanish, we say tomate, right? And chocolate, chocolate, right? Chili, we say chile in Spanish. Aguacatl, that's aguacate. Papalotl, that's papalote. And totopochtli is the totopo, right? This slide of tortilla, which is crunchy, and we use it with the guacamole, when we have some parties. Okay. And now these sounds are changing, are changing. And that's how it is very important in Spanish to pronounce them correctly. So one more time, I will repeat these words for you so then you can practice at home. Tomate, chocolate, chile, aguacate, papalote, totopo. So I need that you pay attention and you can observe how the sounds change when we're interacting with the language, all right? So that's why it is very important that all of you who are learning Spanish here in Mexico right now, you practice every single day. Every single day you have to practice in order to know and to recognize the melody of the language, of course, the melody of the language. All right. So now let's continue with the next slide. Vamos con la siguiente diapositiva. And right here, we are observing the suffixes. Remember that in Spanish, we have prefixes and suffixes. So right now, we're using the suffixes in order to change the pronunciation and at the same time, the stress of the word. So please, look at the pictures right here. We have 4 pictures. The first one on the top, on the left, we have the pan, like in English is the bread, you know. And then we have the person next to the bread. That's in Spanish, panadero. So from the word pan, then we add the suffix, and we have panadero. So the pan is the bread, and panadero is the person who makes bread. Okay, so we have pan, and then with the suffix panadero. Okay, yeah, so please practice with me. First word, pan. Yeah, that's correct. Now, panadero. Panadero. Yeah, that's correct. Very nice pronunciation. Okay, and on the second example, we have this word that is in Spanish, flor. So you need to be very careful with the R. Like here in Spanish, the R is a little bit compared with the R in English. So please pay attention when I say the word. So here I go one more time. Flor, flor. And then we have the next word, florecer. Yeah. Florecer means when the flower is opening. Yeah. When it's opening, so in Spanish we call it florecer. Or like in Spanish we say this phrase, sorry. Oh, la planta ya está floreciendo. Oh, mira, ya está floreciendo. So it's opening, right? Okay, so every time you have new words in Spanish, you need to repeat them uh, every word aloud, all right? So for example, pan, and then panadero, flor, florecer, all right? So we can observe how a suffix is adding something new to our constructing new words, all right? And well, here in Mexico that we speak Spanish, but we have to remember that every word has its particular roots. So for example, we are borrowing, and right now we are going to play with this activity. So right there, according to the information I have for this class, all of you who are watching this video, you have this list. Of course, in your list, they are not in order. So right now here, I'm showing you the correct word according to its origin. So for example, in Spanish, we have football. Well, we know this word comes from English. And then we use here the word chef. It derives from French. Or for example, the word sandwich. It also comes from English. But then, according to the previous slides, we have the word in Spanish, tomate. And yeah, that's correct. It comes from Nahuatl. Or, for example, guajolote, that's it. Like in English, this is a turkey that we usually eat it in Thanksgiving Day. But this word comes from Nahuatl, all right? Or, for example, this worldwide word we use every single day, that is chicle. It comes also from the indigenous language, the Nahuatl, right? And well, right now you have to practice these words with your groups, and remember that all these borrowings make our Spanish very unique, because we know that more than 18 different countries around the world they speak Spanish, but the Mexican Spanish is quite unique. All right. Thank you. And of course, if you are here in Mexico, depending the place you are based right now, but for example, if you are listening from central Mexico, well, we use this kind of clear neutral vowels. For example, we say hola, buenos días, or buenos días. But if you move to the coast, well, they always are dropping the last uh, s. So for example, instead of saying adios, they say adio, right? Or for example, if you go to the south and you are very close to Yucatan, this is a little bit different. They say bueno dia, right? It's according to the accent or the region where you are uh, practicing Spanish here in Mexico. But for example, if you go to the north, of course, the accent is a little bit strong, all right? And well, we have to listen, we have to repeat, we have to compare. So maybe you have some friends right here in Mexico, and if they are in many different states, you can practice with them. All right. So uh, I think that's all for today's class. Thank you so much for paying attention. Remember that pronunciation shows how the language evolve in real speech. Remember that when you're practicing with a person in front of you, you need to be aware of the sounds you are listening. You need to be really involved in the conversation, okay? And well, we have a very short activity for you as a homework. You need to record a short video saying three borrowed words and one derived word with the correct pronunciation. You can take some of the examples, you can consider some of the examples that were given you in this class. Once again, thank you so much for paying attention. Muchas gracias por poner atención a esta clase. Hasta pronto. Adiós. Goodbye, class. That's all for that's all for now.